And hello once more, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to episode 32 of A Druid's Dozen. My name's John. I'm known in certain circles as the Rock Druid, and I'm a bit of a radio DJ. Do a couple of radio shows. There's the BCFM Sunday Rock Show, 93.2 FM in the Bristol, UK area, syndicated on the Rock Radio Network, and then there's the Rock Druid on astroradio.earth. Yeah, basically these videos are just me and my record collection, killing a bit of COVID lockdown time, waving a few albums in front of a camera and chatting about them. So without further ado, shall we pass straight into this week's goodies? And we're going to kick off with this one. Yeah, this is Hour of the Wolf by Steppenwolf from, he says, trying to remember, I think it's 74. I'll check on the sleeve in a minute. There's the front. There's the back. And, Epic Records, as you see. (1975), actually, not 74, 75 this one came out. Now, Steppenwolf will need no introduction to most of you. The archetypal biker rock band, you know, the biker anthem, Born to Be Wild, probably their best known cut. It's also the song that gave us the term heavy metal in a musical context. And yeah, also well known for their sort of like contribution to the Easy Rider movie soundtrack. Songs like my favourite Steppenwolf track, The Pusher, Magic Carpet Ride, Suki Sue, all those kind of classics. This is one of their, like, all those lot came from, you know, the late 60s period, but this is one of their later albums, 1775. Not long before they kind of first time they broke up. They reformed a few years later. I'm not now, and also Steppenwolf's a band that I dislike. I do love Steppenwolf, but just a band that I've never really got around to getting heavily into, if that makes sense. I have listened to another couple of albums, but where they fit into the overall discography or whatever, I'm not sure. I should really explore this band's back catalogue a bit more. But anyway, this album's kind of it's not quite the you know, not quite as accessible, as gripping as some of those, you know, things like At Your Birthday and Steppenwolf 7 and all that lot. They're it's a good hard rock album with a couple of great tracks on here. There's a track called Caroline, Are You Ready for the Outlaw World? Lovely bit of an anthem. Annie Annie Over, Mr. Penny Pincher, all good tracks, but there's nothing really kind of got that impact. It hasn't got a Born to Be Wild or a Magic Carpet Ride on it. But overall, it's not a bad album. I do play it from time to time because it is quite entertaining. And yeah, that's our first one for today. Not much a great deal else I can say about that. Hour of the Wolf by Steppenwolf from 1975. If anyone wants to tell me where I should go on with my Steppenwolf collection and listening, please comment down in the comments. I'm always up for more suggestions. So yeah. Anyway, next up, we'll have something a bit more up to date. 2016, All Bright Electric by Theda. There's the front. Lovely picture of a wasp on there. There's the back with a whole load of wasps on it. Pop it open. That's where the disc goes. And there's a wasp on the disc there. There's a wasp on the disc. and there's a dead wasp behind the disc, which is there. And then, come on, pop the booklet out. Now, it's got, unusually for feeder, it's not got. I've got a very simple inlay carton booklet on this. That's just the inside, and there's just the outside. So one of Feeder's more recent releases, and in my opinion, it's the album where they kind of eventually be able to recover after their drummer's death. Those of you that probably know, not long after they had their big breakthrough with tracks like Buck Rogers, and I can't remember the name of the album it was off. Got it behind me somewhere. But you know, their drummer, who had been battling mental health issues, sadly took his own life, and it really knocked the band for six. Well, obviously it would. And you know, although the albums that came out after his death are good albums, they're quite dark and maudlin. Although this album here begins to show kind of, there's hints of what the band used to be on this. There's kind of it's quite good. I mean, the opening two cuts, Universe of Life and Eskimo, both, and then the one after that, Geezer, they're quite up tempo, almost not quite as kind of hard rock as some of the stuff off the really early stuff like the Swim EP, but it's getting there, and it's a great album. I've always had a light Feeder ever since I first started playing the original Gran Turismo game and listening to some of the Feeder cuts on you know, on the soundtrack. I've always been a bit of a fan. And you know, this album is probably up there amongst their best, in my opinion. Other things to look out for: Angels and Lullabies, The Impossible, rather sweet closing cut, Another Day on Earth. This is a band on form. It's a band that know what their fans want and how to deliver it. It's good, hard-edged, kind of intelligent, sort of alternative indie rock. You know, not exactly heavy, but it's you know, not exactly throwaway either. Good album by a good band. And like I said, if those of you that are Feeder curious, one that I would put high up on my list of priorities to check out. Yeah, in 2016, Albright Electric by Feeder. Good album. Okay, next up. Now, I'm not sure how to categorise this one. Neil's Heavy Concepts album. Those of you that are kind of looking a bit puzzled, I know that there's going to be some of you out there that go, yay, who know all about this. But there's a lot of you out there, especially those of you outside the UK, that are going to be a bit puzzled. Well, back in the early 1980s, we had a TV show in Britain, actually filmed in Bristol, not far from where I live, called The Young Ones. And it was a anarchic kind of surreal underground comedy about a group of students sharing a house together. You had it was Rick, the corporate, Rick, the kind of archetypal snotty left-wing kind of Trotskyite student. You had Mike, who was the kind of slick, sly poser. Vivian, who was a kind of renegade anarchy punk biker, and then Neil, the hippie. The TV show was quite bizarre. Only ever did 12 episodes. If you ever get a chance to see them, please do. They're very funny. But there was a number of spin-off things came out of it, including Neil, which is played by an actor called Nigel Planer. First of all, he released a single, a cover of Holding My Shoe. I can't remember who did the original of that one, but it was a big hit. Neil was a cult character on British TV back then, Oh, hey man, heavy, he's total bummer, man. Yeah, became a big hit, and as a result, he decided producers worked with Nigel Planer to do this kind of heavy concept work, which is basically it's a parody of every 60s and 70s psychedelic and progressive rock album you can think of. Nigel Planer is, as Neil is, superb throughout. Running every hippie cliche you can think of into the ground, setting fire to it, jumping on it, on top of it, pissing it out, and doing it all over again. I say, there's the front. There's the back, which is basically a kind of what's his name? Kerouac-esque stream of consciousness sleeve notes. Pull this out. Just the red sleeve there, but they got this in a card. Nigel Planer as Neil. And just some bits and pieces, heavy concept cutout things there. Now, this is a parody of concept albums. It's meant to be one massive, great big hippie joke. But I'll give this album its due. A well realised parody, and this should be. You know, it's easy to just go and take the piss out of something, you know. Oh, I've got to get this back in, man. It's a complete bummer. Oh, even this record hates me. Yeah, well, you know, I spent the last 5 minutes talking about it, and I can't even get it back in its sleeve, man. So, again, those of you that have seen the TV show will get the thing. Now, I was going to say, a good parody should just be go deeper than a couple of sort of like one-off liners. A couple of episodes ago, I talked about the Spinal Tap movie and the concept album. There's also the British TV series, the comic strip, and their rock band parody, Bad News. Again, it's kind of well-observed satire that goes, kind of beyond the kind of cheap shot jokes. And this is the same. Not surprisingly, because Nigel Planer went on to become part of the comic strip comedy team which did the Bad News thing. He played Des, the rhythm guitarist, or Den, the rhythm guitarist in Bad News. But this is really, really, really well done. The music's quite good. Let's have a look. Who's the drums by Brian Graham, Gavin Harrison, Dave Stewart. Now, I don't think that's Dave Stewart, the Eurythmics bloke. I think it's Dave Stewart, the British session player. Does guitar in there. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Music's really good, and it's really well observed as well. There's a whole section on here called what was it, the Lentil Nightmare, which is when you're kind of parodying stuff like Spirits, Captain Copter in Potato Land, that you're talking about a fairly deep kind of insight and knowledge of your source material for your parodying. Yeah, just really, really well done. Additional voice acting includes the legendary Dawn French and Stephen Fry. It was co-written by let's have a look. Yeah, Nigel Planer, Dave Stewart, Simon Brint, Roberta Green, Nick Revell, all of which are kind of well-known writers and British comedians, etc. It's just a very, very good album. It is genuinely funny and quite insightful. And if you're a bit of an old hippie yourself, now I've got to admit, I've got a hippie streak. You do listen to myself, listen to it and going, that can be a bit close to the mark. But overall, one that I hastily recommend that everybody tracks down and checks out, whether you like comedy, whether you like an old young ones fan, or just curious kind of interesting psychedelic albums. This is really, really good. I'll say highlights also include there's a Melanie's My White Bicycle. A version of Melanie's My White Bicycle on here. A really good rendition of Golf Girl, the old Caravan track. The Gnome, the old Pink Floyd number. Yeah. Neil's Heavy Concepts album, aka Nigel Planer. By Nigel Planer, so 1985 I think this was. 84. Yeah. Check it out. Do yourselves a favour. You will not regret. Okay. Next up we have this. Now, I should have done this one a couple of weeks ago. Because this is effectively a Christmas album. But I thought, you know, I didn't do a Christmas show. I did some this made in Estaciones related specials, so I thought I'd drag it out now as a belated happy Christmas to everybody. Yeah, this is the Saturnalia EP by Bristol Death Rocking Goths, Cauda, Pavonis. There's the front. There is the back. Very kind of that Dickensian kind of snowscape vibe. Can't remember who the name of their artist is. I'll look inside in the middle. There's the disc. That's just there's the disc. Pop out the inlay card. There we go. Signed to me from the band. Also, these are mates of mine, so there's the inner sleeve. The lyrics and now, as far as Christmas EPs go, well, actually, it's not. Is it really a Christmas EP? Because when they released this, their Cauda Pavonis, we couldn't do it this year because of COVID lockdown restrictions, but they normally come on my BCFM show, our Christmas special, and we did just have a kind of in the studio Christmas party. And you know, the whole point is that, you know, yeah, if you're a Christian or in the Western tradition, you have a festival around this time of year called Christmas, but it goes back long before then. There's the winter solstice celebrations, there's the Roman Saturnalia kind of thing, you know, Diwali's around about this time, Hanukkah's around about this time. And basically, if you're facing a long, cold winter where the nights are dark and and everyone's got flu and the food scorches and that, it does the soul good to everybody to get together and have a bit of a party. And this is what this album's about. It's about celebrating the season rather than any kind of Christmas or whatever. Yeah. There's 4 tracks on it. Well, 5 tracks. You have the title cut, Saturnalia. There's also the radio edit, which is kind of about 30 seconds shorter than the full version. But it starts off Saturnalia, just a kind of nice gothic party song. There was a video that came out as a single. There was a video to go with it, and it's just about everybody having a big jug up and a feast. Then you got Gaudete, which I think is the French or Spanish carol, or maybe Italian, but it's a traditional carol. And Sue Wainwright, the vocalist on here, I mentioned when Cauda Pavonis have come up before in this series. She's a operatic alto, and she's got an incredible choral voice. And on here, she's probably one of her best ever vocal performances. Spine-tinglingly kind of deep, powerful vocal delivery on this one. Then you got Winter, the Saturnalia version, which is a re-recorded version of a cut from I think it's the Sigil album. I may be wrong, but anyway. And then you got a solstice anthem, which is like basically an anthem to the winter solstice. And you know, again, uplifting, sort of like season's greetings, party kind of track. I've got to admit, I don't normally go for Christmassy music. I normally have a one-off special where I cram everything into one show. But this is one of the few Christmas things I do find myself listening to throughout the year, because, like I said, it's not, well, it's technically a kind of Saturnalia, Christmas, winter, solstice kind of thing. It's not kind of, as, you know, it's not tinsel drapes and jingle bells and Santa Claus. It's more kind of, yeah, feelings from the heart, etc. Yeah, very, very good. Still available, highly recommended, and asked Santa very nicely to put this in your Christmas stocking for next year. You will not regret it. Yeah, from, well, this originally came out 2013. That's right. Yeah, Saturnalia EP, Cauda Pavonis. Okay, next up, well, a bit of Quo. There we are, just Supposin status quo. And when my missus looked at that, and she said, looks at the cover of this one, she goes, "Wow, I knew status quo had some shit album covers, but that's the shittest one I've got." Got to admit, it's not that impressive. A bloke diving into a sea as a missile fires out of it. But anyway, there's the front. There's the back. Quo doing Quo type things. Don't think there's any lyric sheets or no lyric sheets. Anyway, 1980 this one came out. Probably of the last of the really good Quo albums. Recorded back to back with the Never Too Late album, which we talked with a few episodes ago. With a couple of exceptions, most of the good material ended up on this one, and the leftovers sent it to sort of like find their way onto Never Too Late. Yeah, contains three of their fairly big UK hits. The title cut yourself, what you're proposing, Lies, and the closing cut, the kind of quite soft, picky guitar-y rock and roll, which isn't my favourite quite number, but it was a big hit over here anyway. And also some cracking album-only cuts. The last of the Quo albums where with the possible exception of Rock and Roll itself, and Lies I'm not too keen on, because it's a bit too kind of you know, lightweight and boogie for me. I like it when Quo lent on it a bit. Something they sadly haven't done since, well, probably this album. But it's got some cracking tracks. I mean, one of my all-time favourite Quo songs on here, The Wild One, is on here, which is basically, it's a motorbiking anthem. Easy riders in the morning sun, riding out to have some fun. People don't like the way that the clothes they wear or the way that they have their hair. It's just about riding out and drinking cider and having fun on motorbikes. There's Over the Edge, which is funny enough, all my favourite tracks went to the Alan Lancaster pen. Over the Edge, which is a kind of great hard rocker. It's got a fantastic kind of sort of like sliding drone riff, if that makes sense. You know, it's kind of like a rhythm guitar and bass kind of thumping away with a kind of moving sort of power chord section over the top. Don't Drive My Car, Quo's ode to kind of motoring. Rick Parfitt pen track, because Rick Parfitt was the member of Quo that was into his kind of motor vehicle-isms. Yeah, great album. And it's funny, up until when they first split back in '84, this was the last album they were doing live stuff off. They didn't do live tracks live off the albums that came after this, which is quite odd. But anyway, it's a good album. It's classic Quo. If you know what Status Quo sound like, you know where you're coming from. But like I said, this is one of the last of their albums that deserves exploring, because the album tracks are probably stronger than the singles, which is the way they always used to be and the way it should have been. And it's only when Quo started writing songs, albums for the throwaway singles, that they died. But anyway, the last great Quo album, and there's the great Quo lineup of Lancaster, Parfitt, Rossi and Coughlin. Andy Bounds on here as well, but he's uncredited. He's an auxiliary member. He didn't join for another couple of albums. But anyway, 1980, Status Quo, Just Supposin. Great album. The last truly great Quo album. Okay, next up we'll have a bit of Canadian metal. There we go. This is I'll show you probably clear in a minute when I get the case open. Tides of War by Chariots of the Gods from 2010 by the looks of it. Or 2012, 2013 I think it actually came out. But around about that period, anyway, early 2010s. There's the front. There's the back. No, nothing of interest behind the disc. There's the disc. Come on. And here's the booklet. There's a better view of the cover. Then you've got lyrics, pictures of the band members, and so on. Now this lot, they're a yeah, Canadian band, I think Alberta. I may be wrong, but anyway, kind of power metal, thrash metal, very metal. Anyway, sort of like yeah, metal band. You know, kind of, you know, there's hints of bands like maybe Avenged Sevenfold or in here, maybe bits of Lamb of God. They're in that kind of vein. Just some really good, yeah, and they're really good at it. You've got cuts on here like the Seventh Weapon, The Blind Assassin, Snowfall on the White River, Collapse of an Empire, Red Skies, Annihilation of the Gods. It's heavy, it's well played, it's just really cool. I don't know who Glenn Robinson is, but he was the guy that produced it, and he's done a superb job on the production side of it. Yeah, damn good album. One that I have been criminally underplayed until I dragged this out of the rack and gave it a listen for the first time in several years, and you know, kind of it reminded me of what a great band Chariot the Gods were. I think they're technically still together. They haven't released anything for a couple of years, but as far as I'm aware, there was activity on their Facebook page up until, well, just before Christmas. So I think that as a band they're still going. Yeah, I know there's at least one more album that came after this, and I know that there's a couple of EPs before, but unfortunately this is the only thing that I have in my collection at the moment. Yeah, so yeah, I think this should still be available. I know you can still get it digitally via their Bandcamp page, so yeah, I actually recommend that you check it out. From around about 2013, 2012, this is Tides of War by Chariots of the Gods. Good stuff. Okay, another CD, and we're going to stay in the New World, but we're going out to South America this time, and we'll have Dos Estaciones on Cautiverio by Panoramica. There's the front. There's the back. Interesting picture of a dog in the stars there. Canis Major maybe? There's the disc. Again, quite an interesting little design on that. I'll pop this out. There's probably a better view of the front cover. There's the back. And pop this open, it's just lyrics. Now, I can't remember where exactly Panoramica are based in Argentina. I want to say Buenos Aires, but it could be Cordova as well. I'm not sure. But anyway, this lot are a rather interesting kind of inverted white stripes, and the fact that you've got a, you know, the white stripes, you've got the good boy singer and the girl drummer. These the other way around. The guitarist does all the kind of guitars and basses and the vocals. Is one Velo Cid. Veronica Sid, sorry, I'm getting mixed up here, who I first contacted a good few years back, or did she contact me? Anyway, she sent me some stuff and we've been kind of in touch ever since, and this was a project that she put together, I'm trying to remember when, 2013, so 2013, 2014 was recorded. But she's one of these people that she's worked with several bands and does solo stuff as well. Here she's working with a drummer whose name escapes me. It's probably hidden on the, probably actually printed on the inner sleeve, but like I said, it's all a blur of Spanish, and I can't speak Spanish. But I do know that this is a great album. A kind of, yeah, we've got that kind of white stripesy vibe to it. It's quite, you know, it's quite indie alt rock type stuff, but it's quite engaging. The songs are really well written. There's my favourites include a Roquito, El Valentador, En a la Multiudad, Juego. I can't, my Spanish is crap. I just know that, you know, and Ame Kinorap. I don't know what it means, but I do know the music's great. She's got a rather kind of interesting voice, very engaging. It's not your kind of archetypal female rock singer voice. It's quite very quirky, but it's quite unique actually as Veronica's voice. Guitaring's pretty good. I describe the white stripes in the fact that the drumming is actually really quite good on this album, and it's just pretty damn fine. As to availability, not 100% sure. May need to do a bit of digging, but you know, good things come to those who explore, and I'm pretty sure that if you did a bit of hunting around on Bandcamp or wherever, you might be able to at least get a digital copy, if not a physical copy. Yeah, Panoramica, Dos Estaciones en Cautiverio, I think. Yeah, good album. Argentinian alternative rock. Okay, next up, something blue vinyl. Actually, I'll whip this out here and then I'll show you it properly. There's the back, and there is the front. Yeah, this has no sleeve. It didn't come with a sleeve because it's a limited pressing of 500 pressed, I think it was, on vinyl, and this is number 236. But what you do get you get this, which is the booklet that came with the normal CD version. And it's You Can't Keep Living This Way by New England. Band I talked about their Satellite EP, or was it Earth Mother's EP, on an earlier edition of this. Yeah, and it's just got the basic blurb and track listing in there. Now, New England were banned from the Isle of Wight, out of the town of Ryde, I think it was. Came across them with my old band, Strange Institution, stroke Osmium. We ended up playing with these guys a couple of times in Bristol. Really nice bunch of blokes, and just good fun band to hang around with, and a great live act as well. And so they did, this is their first album. They did so the Earth Mother EP after this, which I dealt with on an earlier show. And yeah, and they released this. It's a 7-track album, 6 original tracks, and a rather cool version of Led Zeppelin's Communication Breakdown, which when they used to play live was their kind of set closer. Just really good stuff. You've got tracks on here like Suicide, Money, We Are For You Too. I don't mean the band, it just means We Are For You Too. It's kind of like big kind of brother anthemic track about the brotherhood of rock. That's also 8 tracks plus the communication. I can't read my own album sleeves here. Yeah, just a really good album. Production's a bit muddy on this, but like I said, debut album from a rather obscure kind of band on a rather, was it Street Link Records, which I don't know, on a white-based label. I don't know what else they released, but an obscure band on a obscure label. Production's not brilliant, but hey, it's it does the job. Yeah, not much else to say. Availability of this one is in the God knows category. I have never seen another vinyl copy of this record other than when I got this off the band at the gig, and I brought this. I think one of your mates brought a copy as well. Never seen another vinyl copy, either live or personal online, and I've only ever seen 1 or 2 CD copies floating around over the years. But yeah, so it made no difference tracking down. But for those of you that like some, you know, sort of like some lesser known UK rock, go for it. Came out about 1988, I think, or thereabouts. So yeah, New England, You Can't Keep Living This Way. Pretty damn good. Okay, next CD, a band that I'm sad to have found out broke up last year. This is Militia by Live Rounds. There's the front. Pop it open. Yeah, this is a kind of home-produced demo EP type thing. There's the yeah, it's just a folded piece of paper, track listing, and the disc. Now, Live Rounds, hard rock band of the old school. Heavily influenced by the likes of Guns N' Roses, Iron Maiden, maybe a bit of Motley Crue, but they weren't glam, don't get me wrong, but a kind of Motley Crue vibe to some of their sounds, early Motley Crue vibe to some of their sounds, but also hints of Maiden, kind of, yeah, just a great hard rock band, best way of describing them. Out of Hereford, formed in about 2012 and called it quits end of 2019. Members of the band have gone on to play with another couple of bands who I'm going to, in the process of tracking down to see what they're up against. This came out, would have been about 2016, round about then. Came across them again with my alien Estaciones hat on. We went up to, we used to play a lot of gigs at a place called the Old George, or Little George, New George, something George up in Gloucester, and you know, we used to play these regular rock nights there, and so a couple of times we ended up on the bill with live rounds. Lovely bunch of kids, lads, blokes, whatever. Could do a great live show, and yeah, one of the gigs I picked this up, and yeah, play occasionally. It's quite good, quite cool and groovy. Cuts on here. Let's see. It's 6 tracks on this. It's a mini album, really, rather than a thing. My favourite 2 are the opening cut, War Machine, and Shitstorm, the closing cut. Although, you know, the other tracks which I'll name for completeness are also pretty damn groovy. Devil's Den, Live Rounds, Nothing at All, I'm Afraid, and Falling. You know, they headbang, they bludgeon. There's some fantastic guitar solos. The vocalist, okay, he's not Axl Rose, but he's no slouch, and yeah, overall it's pretty damn good. And you know, I've got loads of these kind of sort of demo discs from bands that are kind of no longer with us, and yeah, and those of you that are watching this that have been in small bands, you know, some of us still do collect and treasure your old demos, and you know, so your music will never be forgotten. And you know, and those of you out there who think of record collecting, sometimes exploring demo tapes and discs by sort of obscure local bands, you come across some real gems that the world will forget about. And I do feel it's kind of, as a DJ and a music fan and as a collector, it's part of my responsibility to the world, maybe, to kind of try and keep some of this stuff around, alive and remembered. So yeah, sadly defunct the band are, but you know, as long as there's a couple of us that have these discs in playable condition, their music will never die. Yeah, Militia by Live Rounds, around about 2015, 2016. Gonna be a nightmare to find a copy of this these days, but you know, if you can do so. Okay, next up we'll have this. Yeah, there's the front. This is Time's Up by Living Colour. There's the back. And it's funny, when I was getting these out the other day, getting ready to research them, my missus, who slagged off the status quo cover, absolutely fell in love with the artwork and the costumes now on this one. Yeah. 1990 this one came out. And there's lyrics now on there. So that's album credits, sorry. There's the Living Colour themselves. There's the thing on here. Interesting fact also, the great rock and roller Little Richard doing a guest appearance on the track Elvis Is Dead. Now, Living Colour, part of a rather cool and groovy sort of like funk metal kind of movement that was came out of the US in late 1980s. Yeah, partly kick-started by an album I waved at you a few months ago, Black Radio Won't Play This Record by Mother's Finest. Kind of was a big inspiration on bands like these. Fishbone were another one, and also to a certain extent bands like Faith No More were kind of on the verge of that, because they could funk it up at times. This was a time when, you know, the kind of old genre limits of what was rock and metal were breaking down, and you know, people were realising, yes, you can bring in elements of hip hop and soul and funk, etc. And you know, as someone that was quite, you know, at the time, these days, you know, yeah, you listen to a band like Here Lies Man, yeah, multi-influenced, brilliant band, and you think, yeah, so what? Because everybody's doing it. But back in the days when this was coming out, this was cutting edge. This was exciting new stuff. This is their second full-length album, if I remember rightly. Vivid being the first one. And Let's have a look. You've got yeah, Love Is, yeah, the two singles off this. Love There Is It's Ugly Head and Elvis Is Dead, probably the best known cuts on here. Stuff like Open Letters to a Landlord, etc., being on Vivid. Yeah, just a great album. It's hard, it's quite heavy, but on the other hand it's got a groove to it that funks like a bastard. It's one of the funkiest motherfunking albums you'll ever come across. I'm just looking at the thing like Fight the Fight, Tag Team Partners, Solace of You, Information Overload, Pride, so Love Is It's Ugly Head, New Jack theme. Yeah, every song on here is a bit of a winner. Nick Vernon, what's his name? Can't remember. I'm terrible at. Yeah, Vernon Reid, the guitarist, Corey Glover, the vocalist, rhythm guitarist, Muse Gisling on bass, and William Calhoun on drums. Really tight four-piece unit. You know, and it sounds like they're a band that's having so much fun in the studio. Especially, like I say, Elvis Is Dead, guest with Little Richards guesting on piano. There's such a fun vibe comes off that track. It's unreal. Yeah, if you've not explored Living Colour before, please do yourself a big favour and do so. This is as good an album to start as any. I don't think Living Colour have done a Duff album. They're still going strong to this day. Well, yeah, their earlier stuff is probably their stronger material, but got some of their later albums as well. Still very enjoyable. Yeah, Living Colour, Vivid, 1990. Great stuff indeed. Okay, last CD for today before we go to the final vinyl, and it's Don't Look Down by Vivian. And there's the front. There is the back. Nothing of interest behind the disc. There is the disc. Here's the booklet, front and back. Band pics. Lyrics, etc. Now, if you're watching this as a someone who was 15, as a girl that was 15 years old back in 2006, sorry, and you're Swiss, you're probably creaming your knickers. Yeah, Vivian they were kind of Switzerland's answer to My Chemical Romance, Fall Out Boy, the Swiss emo gods. They were. And like I said, musically, if you think kind of Fall Out Boy, My Chemical Romance, that kind of stuff, this is the wicket they're coming off. It's definitely a band that's aiming their material at a kind of certain teenage demographic, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. You know, I don't know about you guys, but I was 15 once, and you know, kind of appreciate music aimed at me, and maybe I've still got a 15-year-old inside me that can still appreciate stuff like this, because I do own albums by Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance, and I've got 3 albums by Vivian. Yeah, it's sung in English. It's pretty good. Nothing really earth-shattering. If I was going to give this a review, it'll probably get a 3 out of 5. You know, 5 out of 10. It's not earth-shattering. It's well played. If anything, the production makes it a little bit too shiny, and there's all the, you know, kind of taking the rough edges off, because we don't want the kiddies cutting themselves on maybe some edgy music. But having said that, it's accessible, it's enjoyable. Tracks like The End of Something New, Deep, What's Your Problem, Fair is Fair, which was the single off this album that was a big hit, you know, over in Switzerland. You know, Flash Gordon. Yeah, it's just fun, fine stuff. This is the sort of band that I reckon should have entered the Eurovision Song Contest representing Sweden. You know, and you know, because ever since Lordi, who kind of did their big win, every so often somewhere put a rock band in as a stab at winning the Eurovision Song Contest. And I reckon that if Vivian is still going, which I'll admit I failed to look up the check, but I reckon if Vivian is still going, maybe Vivian's career could be revived by next year doing the Eurovision Song Contest of Switzerland as their entry. Yeah, don't know as to the availability of this now. Don't know what Vivian are doing these days. Like I said, I've got another couple of albums by them. I think one from earlier than this and one from a bit after. But yeah, it's fun, it's enjoyable, and an interesting one if you like collecting kind of emo bands of the world. Yeah, Don't Look Down by Vivian. Brings us on to the final vinyl. And another one that my missus said she loved the artwork for, which I'll admit, part of my attraction to this album is the artwork. There's the front. Here's of course the Grand Illusion by Styx. There's the back. Whip it out. Do her missus. And you've got a lyric sheet here. Now, I'll admit, what inspired me to grab this out of the racks was an episode of the TV series Supernatural. Not being able to go out or do anything during lockdown, me and the other half, we have over the years collected a large number of TV series box sets, and we have spent a lot of lockdown in the evening, me and her, just sitting down watching everything from Game of Thrones to Supernatural to Blake Seven to some manga stuff like Death Note and Cowboy Bebop. But anyway, episode of Supernatural, and there's an episode well, they normally feature a couple of great. I like Supernatural. Mrs. tolerates it, but I like it. One of the reasons being is they have some great classic rock on the soundtrack, and one episode featured Man in the Wilderness off this album. Made me kind of grab the album out of the racks and give it a listen and bring it to you today. Yeah, Styx Grand Illusion, 1977. Probably my favourite Styx album, although I am really keen on Paradise Theatre as well. But you know, the earlier Styx stuff, when I'm more prog and pomp, then probably this one will shade it. Great album, with, you know, one of these cliche ones where there's not really a duff track on it. You've got a track opens with the tracks like Grand Illusion, say Miss America, Superstars, Falling Yourself, Come Sail Away, The Castle Walls, and then the grand finale, which is kind of reprising sort of elements of all the other tracks. Something that bands don't do much these days, but kind of you know, ties the whole thing together. Not saying it's a concept work, but it gives it that kind of concept work vibe. And does it say? Yeah, Chuck Beeson, the artist who did the album cover, which when I put, admittedly, I've had this album, as you can tell, it's come unglued, because I've had this album a long time. I've had this album since, got to be the early 80s, and boy, it's been a bit of a favourite of mine. And part of the thing, one of the reasons I brought it was I found it in a charity shop, and I thought, well, if I don't like the record, I do love that artwork. And yeah, I still do love the artwork, but I love the record as well. Yeah, just a really strong Styx album. You know, you got Tommy Shaw, lead vocals, James Young's guitar in on here is brilliant. You got that typical Styx kind of multi-layered harmony vocal. Just gives it a kind of divine overall shine that not many bands, many bands can rival, but Styx are one of the few that master. mate, I know they're not everybody's cup of tea, but if you like good kind of progressive pop rock with a lot of American polish, Styx have few rivals. Yeah, favourite cut on here, got to be either Man in the Wilderness or Come Sail Away. But, you know, everything's pretty damn good. So, yeah, the last one today, 1977, The Grand Illusion by Styx. Oh, well, that's it for this week. I'll be back next with another selection of albums. Got another couple of kind of one-off specials that I'm intending to do over the next couple of weeks as well. I'll be putting them out midweek. Yeah, I'll put details to the radio shows down there on YouTube. It's going to be over there on Facebook. And yeah, please, if you liked what you've heard, like and subscribe. It does kind of help spread the word. Like I said, I have no intention whatsoever to monetize this channel. Can't at the moment, not enough followers, but I don't want to either. This isn't about making money. This is just about me sharing music and my love of with people. And yeah, and if you want to kind of comment, make a suggestion, ask a question, correct me on an error I've made or whatever, again, comments. Always good to talk music. So until next week, peeps, I loves every single last one of you. Stay socially distant and wear a mask when you go out. See ya.